Alrighty.
All right, gonna get started in three, two, one. Yo, what up, guys, and welcome back to the Daily Marz, a talk show where we talk about whatever the fuck we want. My name's David, and on today's episode, I got a very special guest. Guest, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm the very special guest, WEBcarlos.
Yes.
Or
So,
should it just be Carlos?
Carlos, Web Carlos. I mean, Web Carlos is fine. I
Okay.
mean, that's what I know you as, Web Carlos, and that's what
It's
the
true.
world's
Most
gonna know
people.
you as.
Yeah.
Yep. But so, me and Carlos go way back. We've already known each other for like going on 3, 4 years already. It's been a while. It's been a good
Oh,
while.
wow. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's been
I
at
don't know why I
least,
thought like maybe five or something, but no.
yeah,
Yeah, I guess you're
no.
right.
It's been like
Wow.
4 years, 4 years, 5 years, something like that.
That's intense.
We were still at Rosella's when we first met. Like, that's how far back we go.
Before I
I
took
think
took over, I did
before
my
you,
hostile
your
takeover
hostile
of
takeover, the
the.
YouTube meetup. But yeah,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
me and Carlos met at the YouTube meetups. Carlos came in and was super sketchy. I'm just kidding.
No, I came in with some awesome input and great ideas, and the next
Yes.
day I was their president.
Yeah, within like within a couple of months. But
Yeah,
yeah,
pretty
but
much.
my favorite thing, like, so Carlos shot a vlog of the his first experience at the YouTube meetup, and he's all like, "So if I go missing, you'll find out now."
Yeah, man. I mean, I didn't know who you people were, and obviously the YouTube community wasn't and still isn't that big in San Antonio. So the idea of like, oh, there's just a bunch of fucking crazies out there who decide to meet up and talk about YouTube. We'll see how this goes.
Yep. And then because your first time with us was the we shot that video with Midnight, right? The painting the YouTube buttons.
Yes, that's right, because it was the
Dude,
meeting, and then immediately after y'all had the
afterwards.
the painting thing.
Yeah, that was dope. And then you just tagged along and then thought you were gonna die. But
Yeah, pretty
yeah.
much.
But yeah, so um Carlos, let's talk about you. That's why I brought you on the show. Let's talk about you and what you're
I
up
can
to.
definitely do that. What do you
Yeah.
want to know?
You're just as narcissistic as I am, so but yeah, like start let's just start with an introduction of what you do on YouTube and what you bring to the community in general, because I know you're not just a content creator, but you also do other things in the community for other
Right,
people.
right.
So go ahead.
Okay. Well, as far as YouTube goes, it's a little slow these days, but I am a vlogger. I like making videos about my daily life, and since the beginning 5 years ago, it's always been about telling my story and who I am and how I lived my life. Basically, there's no overarching theme. There's no, you know, there's nothing crazy about it. It's just the life of Carlos and all that it entails. Well, what else do you want to know about, like the
Go
business and
go
everything going on,
go
or
deep. Go deep.
go
Like
deep?
go
What is
deep. Like
deep, bro? What is
deep.
deep?
Like give us the whole, like, the come up of what is Web Carlos today. Like
That come up. Okay,
from the little
let's
baby
talk
Web
about.
Carlos on the internet all the way to the where you are now, where how much you've grown, because I've seen the growth. But I want to see your point of view, like, of
I'm
how
glad
far
you
you
see it,
think you've
because
come.
all right. Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the quote unquote growth of Web Carlos. So, as I stated before, Web Carlos started off as a way for me to tell my story, because I would watch a lot of vloggers at the time, and I remember I was watching this one specific vlogger who would record his daily life and him hanging out with his daughters and stuff, and I thought, wow, that's cool. That, like, it was a little bit morbid, but like one day that guy is gonna die, right? But his daughters are always gonna have these memories of them as children hanging out with their dad. Like, and you have photos and stuff, but like these are like documented memories of not just them spending time with their father, but like who their father was without them, and like who just how he chose to be on camera. So like they've got his whole personality there, and I was like, well, I kind of want that. I kind of want like an archive of my life, whether it's interesting or not, something to remember me by. And I guess later in the podcast, you know what's happened. That almost came into play,
Yeah.
so that's where it started. Me and Lorena, my girlfriend, we decided that we were going to go out and buy a cheap $200 camera. A Canon PowerShot Elf was the first camera that I used to start vlogging. And honestly, even till today, it was one of my favorite cameras. It's just cheap little $200 camera, but it got the job done. It did pictures, it did video. It was small enough to fit in my pocket. I took it everywhere. And in the first year, I would say, the first like year or two of Web Carlos, I like really went for it. Like especially in the first like the first month or so of Web Carlos, it was just video every day and then like editing every night and then posting every single day. And it helped that at the time, and I think it was you. Yeah, it was you. You had mentioned to me Casey Neistat, and I was like,
Hmm.
"Oh, is that a friend of yours?" And you're like, "No,
I wish.
absolutely not." Yeah. So I checked out Casey Neistat, and my God, it blew my mind. The idea of what you could do with a vlog and the story that you could tell. So Casey, and every now and again, I'll revisit Casey Neistat's original first 300 vlogs. If I tell anyone to watch him, I tell them to watch his first 300 vlogs because that's the gold. That's where it's at.
That's what. Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. That's his
Yeah,
bread and butter. That's what made him who he is today. Oh, I got the
exactly. Because
chills
he's
just
got
thinking about it.
yeah, because I mean he's got tons of awesome stuff. I mean he had an HBO show, and he was always a director and always a storyteller and a documentary. But like I don't know, he something about those first 300 vlogs. That's what resonated with me. I guess because that's where I wanted to be in my life, and so we're coming out of a time when I had just kind of given up on trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. So in high school, I would make videos all the time for like projects and stuff, and I was good at it. Like I would direct all the videos, I would record them. Me and my friends would plan the scripts and kind of go over the scenes, and then I would edit the whole thing on Windows Movie Maker and call it a day. And we'd get A's, we'd win first place in the little class competitions, and I'm like, huh, that's cool. I'm kind of good at that. Oh well, whatever the fuck. Like I just like I didn't pursue it at all. Like I was even in a cinema club in high school and just like, yeah, this isn't for me. Like fuck this shit. So like I just didn't acknowledge at all that like there was a small passion there for video making and video editing. So I went to college for graphic design originally, and then switched my major to uh, 3D animation and game development, which I was doing really well at until I had to take like a history course, and the history course fucking destroyed me. Like I was killing it at all the classes that I needed to take for my career. I was killing it, but all my prereqs were fucking destroying me. So I dropped out. Dropped out for a
Same.
while, and then went back to college for a little bit to become a concept artist for video games, and I dropped out again because I couldn't keep up with the grades or anything. Again, killing it in like color theory, killing it in like my drawing classes, drawing one and drawing two, but like when it came to science, math, and history, I could not keep up. The learning environment absolutely is not for me. And that was something that was hard for like my mom to accept and something hard for me to accept because I'm like, well, shit, man. Gaming is all I knew, and gaming is all like I wanted to do, which is ironic because I don't even do gaming. I don't do much gaming now, but it's like all I knew and it's what I wanted to do. And then it wasn't until I started watching Matthias and his brother's vlog when I was like, you know what? I can do that. I want to do that. I would love to do that. And then that's when it took off. So that's what drove me back to video editing. And that's when I remembered like, you know what? I was kind of good at this. I was all right at it. And then slowly but surely, I pumped out like 10 vlogs, like 15 vlogs here and there, and then people started telling me they're like, "Hey, these are actually pretty good." They're not like, "Damn, man, this is the best. You're gonna blow up," but they're like, "Hey, you know what? You're not making these generic YouTube videos that everyone else is making. You're doing some pretty good storytelling, and
Good quality
you're
fucking
good."
content.
Yeah, and again, I'm doing all of this on a $200 camera with a cheap microphone built in, and like no video settings. Everything's automatic, so like it's just a point and shoot camera, But I had the inspiration and the drive to tell a story with it, and it was portable enough to go anywhere with me. So there was no excuse for me to never have it. There's actually a point where I had a carrying case for it that like fit on my belt, so it always looked like I had like a little pager, and that was actually because of Casey Neistat. I saw that he did that, and I was like, I want to do that, but you just look like a fucking dork when anybody else does what Casey Neistat does. You just look like a dork. That's just the bottom line
Carlos
of it.
went through a phase where he was just wearing glasses inside, and
Exactly, man. Because everything Casey Neistat says makes sense. Where it's like, yeah, I wear glasses because you look cross-eyed in the lens. You know, I keep
yes,
everything on me and whatnot. So it makes sense. But when you do it, you're like, well, I'm just being a
like
fucking poser. Like
in
this sucks.
in theory everything, like you said, it makes sense. It makes so much sense because when you're vlogging and you're self vlogging, like you're looking at your screen while talking to the camera, and your eyes just go to the screen rather than looking at the camera itself. And I've noticed that, and I think that's why a lot of vloggers got away from have they got into getting their own cameramen, like following them around for that reason, is because like if you look at like the who else does it, I think like Roman Atwood does it. It's super frustrating watching his videos because he's looking at the screen and not the camera. Logan Paul used to do it at the beginning when he started vlogging. uh Peter McKinnon still pisses me off because he still does it as where he's
Yeah.
at as a content creator. It pisses me off because he still does it also, where he
Yeah,
looks
it's a hard
cross-eyed.
habit to break, man. Because I mean, you want to know that you look good. It's
That you
just
look good.
if you're making videos in some facet, you are a narcissist. Not necessarily in a negative term, but I mean, you have to have some sort of narcissism in you to want to make videos, and it can be good or it can be bad because, you know, you can be completely selfish and make it all about you, or you know, you have that slight bit of narcissism like I had, where it's like, well, I don't want to be praised. I just want to be remembered. And, you know, I'm never going to be the next president of the United States. I'm never going to be some kind of superhero or war hero. I've come to accept that in my life. But I know that, like, I think I have a personality and a life that's worth remembering to some people. And even if that's just two generations down and then I'm forgotten, that's fine. Like, I've immortalized myself to a degree through these videos as long as they exist, you know. So
Hmm.
that's all I was really ever looking for, was just a way to become remembered. But yeah, so that's where it all started. That's where it all led. That was the inspiration for Web Carlos. Now let's talk about, that was the rise. Let's talk about the fall of Web Carlos,
Wait,
because you
hold
say you
on,
still see the
hold on.
growth.
Okay, hold on. Pause. Time out.
Okay.
Because for those people that don't know, tell them what because you didn't say it. Tell them what Web Carlos stands for.
Oh, right. So back in the olden days of MySpace, everyone had really catchy names, right? Everyone like had that XX Monster Killer 200. It didn't matter. Like everyone, like you could put your real name in MySpace, or you could put whatever you wanted. So all my friends, they had these really clever names, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna come up with the cleverest name of all clever names. And so it took me a while, but I finally came up with who else but Carlos, and that was my monogram, and I got teased for it because it was dumb. And then so fast forward to YouTube, I'm making this channel. I'm like, damn, who do I want to be? Like, what do I want my channel to be called? Like Carlos Vlogs or Carlos Videos, Carlos World, Carlos TV? Like,
Carlos
like what?
TV.
Like what the hell can I? You know, those are the things that everyone comes up with when they're
Yeah,
making the channel. Like the Carlos Show.
the
Like,
Carlos
what
Show.
do I call? And like none of that seemed to, like, none of it fit, you know, because I was like, this all dumb. Like I'm making it sound like I'm building like a TV show or something, and that's not what this is. And then like last minute, I remember, oh, you know what? Who else but Carlos? Because I mean, yeah, like who the
It's
fuck else is it
catchy as
but
fuck,
me?
dude.
And it just worked out that it happened to be WEB, who else but Web Carlos. So I was like, holy shit, I accidentally did something super cool. So Web Carlos was born from there.
And it's one of the dopest names on the internet. And I'm gonna
Yeah,
trademark it and then charge Carlos to use it. No, I'm just kidding.
you certainly can try.
I'm gonna trademark it and charge you for every video that you have with Web Carlos in the title.
What a nightmare. I literally just change everything to something else. I'm too lazy at this
It's
point in my life.
not worth the effort.
Exactly.
Oh man, but yeah, that was the rise of Web Carlos, and dude, there's still growth. It just pisses me off because you don't post videos, as much as you
there's
used
de-
to.
yeah, so there's definitely room for growth, but that's something I want to talk about too because it's important. And in the podcasts I've been recording lately for other people, I talk a lot about this because we talk a lot about being a content creator and where that's gotten me and things like that. And obviously, I'm not a big name. I'm not a household name. I don't make any money from YouTube. I don't make any money from content creation at all. I mean, I have my own side business, which we'll get to in a bit, but it's like not what I want to be doing.
Interesting. Wow, I didn't know that.
Well, like it is what I want to do, but like I would love to be a content creator full time. So let me talk about the what I call the fall of Web Carlos. So what started happening is when I entered the YouTube group, I entered a world of other people who were making videos just like me, and other people who were trying to grow just like me, and who were just starting from the bottom just like me. Even though we all had various numbers of views and subscribers and videos, like it was all different, and quality was different between all of us, ideas were different between all of us, but at the end of the day, we have to admit, and you were there so you can say it too, it was less of a support group and more of a competition amongst each other
Mm-hmm.
to say who had the better video. And honestly, I've told a lot of people about the group, and I've told them this is why I don't think it worked out, and this is why I don't think it works well now, because it works well as a place of education, and then people leave because you come, you learn something, you learn all you need to learn, and then you leave. There's no reason to stick around for a
Mm-hmm.
very long time. And if those people have left, it means we did our job right. If those people stick around too long, then that means
We're
we're
not
not
doing
giving that
something.
person what they need. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So, but you know, we we were all at one point in competition with each other to say who was the better creator. And even though it was never said out loud, we never like downed each other. We never hurt each other or like tried to push each other off on our videos. It was just
Yeah.
about subliminally who had the better content.
And it
And
got to that point to where it came
yeah,
out like it pushed after. Well, this is after you had took off, but it pushed to that point of the whole ego challenging each other and stuff like that. It got to that point,
yeah,
and
exactly.
it's
And that was
not
one of the
it's
reasons why
not
like
it's not what we wanted out of the group. Like it's just like we had a plan, we had a goal of what we wanted, and we knew where we wanted this group to go. And it's still, and due to COVID, but like it still had the opportunities to like be what we envisioned was a place for people to come, learn, grow, like, build a community. And we had some bad apples, and it kind of pushed the group in a different direction from where we wanted. And
yeah. And I mean,
there was a
I
lot of
wouldn't even
name slandered
I
on the
wouldn't
group
even blame it
itself.
all. I wouldn't even blame it all on the bad apples because there a lot of what drove the group downward too was the basis of like empty promises and unfulfilled promises and things that weren't kept to the way they should have been kept. And it's just we lost sight of what our original goal was, and at some point just became something else entirely. But I mean, and what you were saying before about like how we kind of drove each other out of it. I mean, that's how it works. Because again, I'll come back to saying, if you're in the content creation business to some degree, you have to be a little narcissistic. And not bad narcissistic. It can be good narcissistic, but to some degree, you have to be narcissistic. So what happens is that you get all these narcissists in one room once a week to tell and have one of them talk about why their way is better and have everyone disagree and say why their way is better, and no one's building each other up. After a while, that's something that's going to implode on itself. And that's it took me a while to realize it, and especially after I left, to see that like that's why this kind of thing doesn't really exist anywhere else. And that's also why none of the big YouTubers out there are really part of anything that's like a YouTube support group, because no one wants to be told how to create their content or how to do what they want to do. To a certain degree, we need to learn how to build the channel. To a certain degree, we need to learn how to structure the video. But we from there, that's it. You just need to know those two things, and then you can
Mm-hmm.
become your own content creator. After that,
Yep.
anything that is corrected or critiqued is in some way, shape, or form an
To each their
attack
own.
on your artistic view, you know?
Yep.
And again, I say that with a grain of salt because it's like I gave y'all a lot of critiques on your videos, and that's not me attacking you, but you can feel attacked in the sense that, like, well, this is, I get it. Like, my video quality isn't great, my sound isn't great, but this is my view of the video I wanted to make, and I made this
Mm-hmm.
video. And having a group like that kind of like, well, that's good, but make sure you're doing this. It's kind of they're basically just part of a government at that point. And that's not what anyone wants to be a part of. And that's why, in my mind, like that's why that group just didn't work out. We were, and I mean, I hope I don't offend you by saying this, but
Oh
we were
no, not
we
at
were
all.
nobody's we were nobody's leading nobodies. We none of us had made it. We were all still trying to get there, but we were all also we were the blind leading the blind at that point. And it's a hard thing to do. And so that's why I don't think that group worked out. But that's not the group itself is not the reason why my channel didn't work out. The reason my channel didn't work out was rewind all the way back to when I was saying that things got competitive. So I started getting more exposure to higher end YouTubers like Chris Howe and Peter McKinnon and all these like wonderful filmmakers who just do magic with a camera. These people who are like amazing with a camera. And that drove me forward to say, well, you know what? How come I'm not doing color grading? How come I'm not shooting in log format? How come I don't own a proper DSLR? I need a Gorilla Pod. I need a camera bag. I start I start pushing myself forward with all these things that nobody asked for. And for people who are listening to this who are creating their own channel or like in the midst of having their own channel, um, do not give people or don't get strung up on things that nobody asked for, because that's exactly what I did. I got nobody asked me to color grade my films. Nobody asked me to make everything cinematic. Nobody asked me to put B-roll in every single thing I did. Nobody asked me to buy a music license for the stuff I was producing. It was mental goals that I had set for myself that drove me into the ground, because I held myself at such a high standard that nothing was no longer good enough for me. Nothing was ever good enough for me. And that's when that happens, you've kind of lost the battle,
Yeah,
because
and
like everyone around you will say like, no, it's good. Like we still want the videos, we still love the videos, but I'm like, but I don't like the video. I suck at color grading. I suck at editing. Oh,
yeah,
we don't need any of that.
and
And it's
that's
like,
what.
no, but I want to do that. But don't get strung up on things that people aren't asking for,
Dude,
because then you fall out
yes.
of it completely.
Yes, and it fucking pisses me the fuck off. And this is what like I would love to have another conversation about this separately for the main channel, like
Oh,
completely
for sure.
on this topic. No, like on another time, but that would be a video like that we'd have to make together and collaborate on a video talking about this. Is that
Yeah,
when
definitely.
when small YouTubers are coming up, is they compare themselves to where YouTubers are now. They don't go back to like, and my perfect example that I use for everybody is go to Smosh, like go to like YouTube royalty, like these guys that were like on top of the fucking game. Like look at their content, like when they first started. Look at their first fucking 20 videos, 30 videos that were up. They were shit fucking videos. Like they didn't get to this huge enormous like um following and this huge enormous like amazing video production off the back. Like they just, nobody has that. Like nobody has that. Everyone started with the same story that you're giving, is that they started with like a point and shoot camera, like shooting off their phone, shitty audio, shitty video, shitty like everything. But like content creators have this weird thing, and again it goes into the whole like how you said the narcissist, like you have to have that some kind of narcissism
Yeah.
behind it and like an ego. But it's just like you can't compare yourself to what so and so's doing, so and so's doing. Like you're in your own lane making your own content, and that's what pushes people down and gets them in this rut of my content's not good enough. When at the beginning, like you said, the same way you said it, don't give people what they're not asking for. Like, oh
Yeah,
man,
exactly.
it's so frustrating to see because it pisses me
It
off. Because
definitely.
with all the people that we saw go in and out of the group, in and out of the group, is that you know the they wanted to do a like top like Peter McKinnon style videos with a Web Carlos budget, with a David Espinoza budget, with a Squirrel Drake Pictures budget. It's just you can't do it, and they
Exactly.
they expect to be able to do it, and it's a stigma, and a lot of the big YouTubers put this stigma in smaller YouTubers' heads, and it's kind of annoying too. Is that like the whole stigma of you can start a YouTube channel with your phone? You can't. In no fucking world can you. You
No, I
you
completely
can't.
disagree with you there. You absolutely can, but you can't get strung up on comparing your quality to them,
Yes.
because you can definitely say, because that's what I did in the beginning. My vlogs, and you probably see it, are heavily influenced by Casey Neistat, but they still carry the personality and structure of me and the person that I am. So
Yeah.
the video structure itself, the editing, very Casey Neistat esque, but the fonts and the way I choose to shoot things and the way I choose to talk, that was all me.
The
And the
stories.
yeah, and in the beginning, that's what everyone should do. You find a creator that you like and you try to replicate it. But at some point, which is fine, that's absolutely fine. But at some point, you have to take that replication and make it unique and make it you. So that way it's no longer a Casey Neistat inspired vlog. It becomes Web Carlos. It becomes Squirrel Jerky Pictures. It becomes whatever you want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
But these people have laid the groundwork for you to kind of build inspiration off of. And I absolutely 110% believe that you can start a successful YouTube channel with only your phone. And I've always said that, and I'll always keep saying it because, again, I started with my crappy little $200 camera, and people still love those videos 10 times more than anything I shoot on a DSLR. If I started vlogging today, people will still say that the footage then was 10 times better because it was authentic, it was relatable, and it was raw. It wasn't gussied up. There wasn't this disconnect of like, well, is this a movie or is this his life? It, it's like that's what happens because it's like when you find Twitch. Think of Twitch. You find a streamer that you really like. You start watching them. They're like maxing out like 20 viewers tops. You're typing, they respond to everything you say. It's cool. A month later, they blow up to like 2,000 people, and suddenly it becomes less personal. You're no longer a part of that community, but you're a number in the community. And I mean, a lot of Twitch streamers are really good about like keeping close to the people who were there in the beginning. But in this example, it's easy to get lost in that crowd when like the numbers grow.
Yeah.
So I mean, you just find a way to make yourself an individual and just stick with it.
Yeah. And don't copy word for word everything that somebody's doing because that's annoying.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you
'Cause
said,
I
make
came
it your
across a ton
own.
of
Like it's frustrating to see because of how many, like when Casey Neistat was popping off, like the Casey Neistat style of vlogging, like
oh yeah,
everybody, but the people that came out on top of that were the ones that, like you said, made it their own, brought their own story, their own everything to it. So like it's so wild, like because I remember seeing it like in the 2017, 2018, when Casey was like popping off, and everyone was fucking vlogging. Like you would just see it, everyone like, and I know I'm guilty of it because I did the same thing when I was vlogging. Is that I would just like, there was no essence to my story. It was just a shitload of B-roll, just B-roll, 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 because it was so cool.
yeah,
Like it looks so really awesome to have like really slow-mo pics, like just going by, like video, what's it called, you driving, and like I did it like overkill, like overkill. I remember doing it like way too much. Like there would be like a 10-minute video and like 6 minutes is just B-roll. Like, oh,
yeah.
I cringe
I,
looking at the
I
old
did the same
videos.
things. The videos they got hardcore in the B-roll. There was a lot of videos that was like 2 seconds of me talking and then lots of B-roll. And at that time, it was because a friend of mine had told me, "Oh, you talk too much," and so I took that personally, and I started talking even less and shooting more B-roll. And then people started saying like, well, there's no substance to the video. We're just seeing images at this point. And then that's when like things slowly spiraled out of my control. And that kind of leads me to my next point, which is, part two of the fall of my channel. And that was the responsibility of it. I started to feel responsible for delivering quality content to people. And again, it was things that they never asked for, but I felt responsible for it. And once I had that responsibility and felt that I couldn't handle it, it was just easier to flee from it. Same thing with the YouTube group. I've never told you this. I don't think I've ever told any of you this because it's kind of disgusting. But I'll say it here. I'll say it live right now. Uh, the first time that I went to the YouTube group, I went home to Lorena, and she asked me, "How was it?" And I said, "It was good. I think I can take over in about 3 months." And in about 3 months, I took over. So
Yeah.
that happened. But after a while, if you remember in the
And
beginning, things were good.
it wasn't intentional. Don't let Carlos come off like sounding like a dick when he says
No,
that. It was not
I mean,
intentional at all. What happened is that
there was a little intention.
no, no, no. Okay, but it wasn't in as far as like it was intentional, but it wasn't like I'm being a dick and I want to be like fucking Hitler and fucking take this
Oh,
place
yeah,
over.
no, absolutely.
It was
It
there was
came
no
more from a place of like they need a little more direction, and I think I
yeah.
can provide it.
Yes,
And
like
however,
yeah. There was no
yeah,
animosity behind Carlos taking over the YouTube group and getting voted to be the new person to run it because it just like I know Midnight took it hard, Thomas took it hard, and that's why we lost Thomas was because Thomas had like a role, he had a reason to go be there and everything like that, and I think that kind of shut him off from wanting to come, and it just put him in a weird spot, and it was like because when Carlos took over the group, like it was like fucking shit was fucking going down, like shit was happening, like Carlos kind of like set the standard for what he set the not the standard he set the base for what the YouTube group became, as far as like having every week we'd have direction. We knew exactly like this week we're gonna try doing this, we're gonna do this, doing this, because it was more like when we started it, and like because I'm like me, like I was in the YouTube group from like the beginning, like I was in the first like 5 people that were like part of the group, like when this guy George, who was super huge already, making like he was making a living on YouTube already, like he was making money, like he was making probably about like I want to say 10,000 a month off of YouTube, and he's the one that kind of started the group in general, but even he didn't have like a direction of where he wanted to go. It was kind of just like a super social, just like there was no direction. It was just like show up, hang out, talk to each other. Eventually that gets fucking old, like you talk to the
yeah.
same people over and over every single week.
I think that was one of the discussions we had was when does this stop being a social and start becoming a group where we educate each other and grow from one another. And I will say this because Midnight wasn't a terrible leader, and at the end, I remember specifically at the end, me and two other YouTubers had decided, well, you know what, we're gonna leave and build our own group based around the things that we want. And I remember when we had announced it that night, Midnight was kind of taken aback, and he was like, "On," because I was literally gonna say that I would like you to take over this group. So it's not like I had to run Midnight out of power. Midnight was already at the point where he was like, "Well, you know what? I'll give him a shot, and we'll let him run it." So
Yeah.
uh, I've always seen it that way. I've never seen it as like I did a hostile takeover of
Yeah, there
everything. I
was
just
no,
felt
like I
like,
said, there was no animosity
yeah,
behind it. It was super like it was up for a vote. Like anybody literally could have like become the person running it, but
yeah.
it was
Plus,
voted.
Midnight had found his place in like the LARPing community at that point, and like that's his jive now, man. That's his
Yeah.
everything. So like, kudos to him. He's doing great there. He's like a real respected member of the community and everything. So like, he really found his place after that. So
Mhm.
not that that was never his place, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, but basically once we had established everything, and I was kind of running things for a while, and we had moved from Rosella's to Geekdom. Excuse me, we had moved from Rosella's to Geekdom. Uh, I just I don't know. I felt the responsibility once again to continuously deliver to these people who were kind of following me and kind of listening to my orders, and I like fell out of love with it suddenly, you know, because it was like, oh well, I'm not sure that I wanted this responsibility, and now I have it. So like, it was just one of those things, you know, where it was like, I wonder if I could do better. And then once I was in the position, I allowed the pressure to hit me so hard that I was like, I don't want to take responsibility for anything that happens from here on out. And I ran from it, and that's exactly what I did. I ran from it. And that's the same thing that happened with my channel. Like I started not delivering content because it was easier to not make a video than it was to make a bad video or to sit there and edit a video that I didn't want to deal with. But again, nobody saw it that way. Nobody nobody saw in the YouTube group that Carlos wasn't holding up his end of the deal. You know, no one saw on WEBcarlos that my videos were getting worse. You know,
I saw it.
it's just
I'm just kidding.
no, it was just things that I had put in my own head that I allowed to kind of
Push it
destroy
away.
myself as a creator and ruin my creativity overall. And like I allowed that kind of thing to fester and become depression, and ultimately kind of put me where I am today, which is like I put a camera in my hands and I try my damnedest to vlog, and I'll go do a whole day vlogging, and then I'll just like lose it, or I'll lose inspiration at the end and I can't finish the video, or I can't edit the video, or something happens, and
And I think that
I for the life of me cannot get back to the state of mind that I was beginning. And I would give times 1,000 to have the mindset that Carlos in the beginning of Web Carlos had to now, because I cannot produce anything. I cannot be as creative as I once was, and that's solely because I allowed myself to overthink everything to a point to where I question myself constantly.
and it's fucking annoying because don't let Carlos undercut himself and make it seem like this pity party that he thinks that he's not good enough. That's his own personal thought. Because Carlos makes good fucking content. I look forward to every December 1st of seeing Vlogmas, his attempt at Vlogmas every year, because it's fun to see. Because again, like I was in the same boat, and that's why, like, because to me, like, I know I'm not made to be a content creator. It's not like it's not. I don't have that. The same way you said, it's kind of like you don't have that drive. But for you, it's like you lost that drive. But for me, it's like I've never had that drive. Like my thing has always been wanting to be like a manager of people and help them become better content creators. I've never wanted to be in front of the camera. Like I've had to do it now. Like I have to do it because in order to build some credibility, I have to be in front of the camera. But like I've never my biggest thing has always been I don't want to make content because I'm not a content creator. I haven't lost that. I still have that drive of wanting to become, turn this into a living and teach people how to become YouTubers and push them to become better versions of themselves and push business and help them make money. That's always been my drive, but it's just I can never get around the content creation side. That's why I came in with the if nothing happens this year, like I'm done, like I'm finished with it. But what pisses me off with you is that your standards, your personal self standards are way too fucking high, and it pisses me off because the content, like you said, don't make content that nobody's asking for. Nobody gives a shit about amazing fucking content. Where your content holds itself up, where it carries itself, is the story. Like you're a good fucking storyteller. Like you already have it. Like you have this natural, like if I put a fucking camera in front of you, you're gonna fucking come up with this story. It may not like be to fucking Carlos's high fucking standards, but it's a good fucking story and it's fun to watch. Like I enjoy every December watching your failed attempt at Vlogmas because I enjoy watching the videos. It's not like I literally, like, guys, I'm telling you, I commented every day, like every single fucking day. All right, here we go, 5 more days and I'm gonna win because I put a standard on it. Like I want to see, like I love watching it. Like it's just
What was your bet? And so the viewers know, every year when I do Vlogmas, I ultimately ask in the first video, take your bets and guess which day that I'm going to give up this year. And if you guess correctly on that day, and I decide to give up that day, I will take you to Bennigan's. And so far, no one has landed on the exact day. And I promise you, I'm not doing it purposely.
yeah.
That's just how it works out.
But it's just
That
because
actually, I think last year. last year I want to say someone landed on it, but I can't remember who it was. But somebody won last year, and I was like, oh okay. And so I still owe them a trip to Shoney's actually.
But it's just like it's fun, dude. It's super fun because even like it was weird because it was like subconsciously like I was already ready for December. Like when it hit December 1st, I didn't even realize that you had posted the videos. I just went to your channel and I'm like, oh, Carlos has asked to do Vlogmas. It's the first. Like let me go check it out. Like because it's
Nice.
fun. Like it's fun to watch, dude. Your content is so good because it's the story behind it. And like after watching this year, like after religiously watching this year, because like last year I didn't keep up as much as I did this year with it, of and you could see where you kind of lost steam and where it kind of like of what you're
Yeah.
saying, like the downfall is that you come in fucking like guns ablazing, and then it just kind of just like you see the decline of where you like kind of start questioning yourself and like, oh, am I
Oh
doing
yeah.
this, am I gonna
And
do
then
this, like, oh
December is a
man.
very hard time for me. I've never understood why, but like I have really strong seasonal depression where like December for me is like when it hits the hardest, and I no idea why. So like around wintertime it just fucking kills me. And like now that we're like approaching spring, now is the time when like my mood swings are a little more like upbeat and less depressive. Still depressive, but like less depressive, but they are never as bad as they are in December. And that's mostly why I can't get through a vlogmas, is because I lose that steam and I lose that motivation for whatever mental block is happening in my head that's allowing that to happen. You know, there's things that I need to deal with mentally before I can be capable of like understanding what it is, or even saying that I have depression. You know, I have to understand what it is that's going on in my body and in my mind to say why in that time period, why in that season, things get so damn hard for me, and it kind of just ruins the rest of my year from then on. But
But then again, last year was a pretty tough year for you. Last year.
yeah, last year got rough out of nowhere,
Like
that's for
y'all
sure.
thought y'all thought y'all's 2020 was wild. Carlos had a wild fucking 2020.
That was my 2019 leading into
Oh,
2020.
it was 2019. I thought it was no shit. Damn,
I barely,
I'm still thinking
barely
we're in
celebrated
fucking
a year.
2020. Fuck.
Oh no, no, no. So
Yeah.
for those of you who don't know, a lot of you I'm sure do know. For those of you who don't know, November 2019, I had a heart attack due to a birth defect. You know, I'm 20 at that time. I'm 26. Yeah, that point. No, yeah, I was 27. I had already turned 27. At that point, I'm 27 years old, not doing drugs, not overweight, healthy as can be.
Yeah,
Uh,
Carlos is a
just
stick.
woke up one morning, or not even one morning. Woke up at like 3 in the morning. Felt like there was an elephant on my chest. It felt like someone was trying to rip my arm out of my socket backwards. I couldn't breathe. I could barely stand. And I'm just like stumbling around the house trying to figure out what the hell is happening to me. And so Lorena wakes up. She takes me to the hospital. They come in and they're like, "Well, we don't know what's going on with you, but we can tell you this much: it's not a heart attack. You're going to be okay." They come back in the room like 2 minutes later. They're like, "Okay, so it looks like you may have had a minor heart attack, but you know you're going to be okay." They come back maybe 15 minutes later and they're like, "So it appears that you have had a major heart attack and that something is severely wrong. So we need to book you a room and we need to stick some tubes in you to figure out what the hell is going on." And I'll tell you, man, that whole, and I wasn't even in the hospital. I think I was in the hospital a week and a half, if not just a week. And man, it's all just a blur now, but man, it was just
That was
crazy
fucking
being in
wild,
that
dude.
situation. 'Cause I was just in this situation that I never dreamed I'd be in before. You
Yeah.
know, like I couldn't imagine that ever happening to me. And
But the irony of it,
oh
and
right,
it's so fucking funny. Like, and I like to me, like, in the circle that we have of the people that we talk to, and our fellow content creators that we're all friends with, is that we kind of have like this dark sense of humor that of shit that like you shouldn't be laughing at, but we still laugh at it anyways. But
yeah.
Carlos has made this joke previously in the past on plenty of occasions. It's like, oh, next thing you know, I'm gonna get a heart attack when I'm young,
The,
and
the,
then
the,
like it
the
actually happens.
the quote was every time something would happen, I'd be like, "Oh well, we'll worry about that after my third heart attack." So And that's the thing that I would say after at like my girlfriend, and I would say to everybody, just like, oh yeah, after my third heart attack, we'll see, right? And then little did I know, yeah, 2019, I had the heart attack that put me in the hospital, and then I had a heart attack while I was in the hospital, because after I had like come to from the first heart attack, I was like real groggy, and my family was like panicking around my room, and I was like, hey, what's happening? And they're like, no, 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 go back to sleep, go back to sleep. And I was like, no, I want to know what's happening. And they're like, okay, um, we don't know how you're gonna pay because your insurance isn't gonna cover anything. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then I had a second heart attack. So that stress was enough to send me into another shock,
Another
and
shock.
that's when they like rushed me to like a small operating room, and they put a tube into my wrist to check my arteries and everything, and that's when they discovered that like arteries are healthy, I'm healthy. They didn't know what the hell it was until way later that it's actually the valve that runs through the center of my heart, and when my heart beats, especially under constricts that, which doesn't allow enough blood flow to go through. And my whole life I've always had like chest pains and stuff. I just ignored it because I'm not the kind of person who goes to the hospital. I don't like doctors. I don't like the hospital. I don't like needles. But obviously now I'm a little more accustomed to all of that. But then I couldn't imagine, even giving blood was like a terrifying thing to me. But yeah, man, it was a scary moment in my life,
I
and
was
it was enough
scared.
to. A lot of people were, man. Like honestly,
Dude.
it's very cliche, but honestly, you don't know how many people give a shit until like you almost die, and it's a shame that that's when we find out, and it's a shame that that's when most people tell people how much they care, because that's not how it should be, but that's just this is the
It's
world
the
we live
way it
in.
is, yeah.
Everyone's afraid to share their feelings with one another. But yeah, man, um, that was enough to kind of like make me question my life and what I was doing with it and what I wanted to do with it and where I wanted to go with it, because um, I had the choice of having surgery to basically dig the artery out and allow the heart to heal, and have everything function the way it's supposed to function, or just be medicated. And despite everybody else's choice, the popular choice was for me to have surgery. I fought that 110% and wanted to be medicated because I did not want to take the chance of them digging around in my heart. And honestly, like the chances both ways were pretty severe. So like if I decided to go the route of medication, basically at some point in my life I can still have another heart attack, and that can be my last one. That could be the one that kills me. But I can have the surgery, and it gives me a nice fix for a while. But at some point, I'll develop scar tissue, or the way that the surgery was put together will deteriorate over time. Like there's pros and cons to both sides, and I just my biggest fear in life is being in situations that I cannot control. And my second biggest fear in life is being in some sort of accident and waking up in the hospital with tubes injected in my body. And that's exactly what was going to happen. They were going to crack open my chest. They were going to put a tube down my throat. They were going to put two tubes in my chest. They were going to put a catheter in me. And I was like, they're like, it wouldn't be for long. And I was like, I don't care. That is not what I want. They're like, yeah, but it's a small thing to go through to fix this. I'm like, well, to kind of fix it, like it's not guaranteed. Like I can have a heart attack tonight, and that can be the last one. Like it's hard to say, because it's same thing with that. If I had the surgery, something could have gone wrong way later on, and that could have been it. With the heart, it's just such a vital and fragile organ that like anything can happen at any time.
Hmm.
And it's weird to think that any of that ever happened to begin with, because once it was all said and done, it was just life as before. It was everything was back to normal. I was just Carlos being Carlos, except he had a heart attack one time. Like that was it. There was nothing significant about it anymore after that moment, and that was weird to adjust to as well. And you would think that would be enough to get me back into vlogging, but nope, that still didn't.
I mean, it kind of put
Almost.
after that. You kind of got back into it for a second there, You kind of
Yeah,
push yourself a little
I
bit.
kind of did because I was like, vlogging is what I really want to do in life, and it did almost dying really did push me for a good long while, but then I set back into my old ways of feeling like I wasn't good enough or feeling like I wasn't recording properly. Any bit of grain that showed up in my footage, I was like, God, this footage is fucking disgusting because I can't get my white balance correct and I can't get my lighting proper enough to have clean cut footage. Like it's literally that bad sometimes. Like I don't know.
And
I
the
just get
problem
my own head about
is
things.
that Carlos learned so much in such a short amount of time, and I feel like that's also what it kind of pushed it to also is because
Yeah, definitely. That was all
you
self-taught.
pay attention to it from a creator standpoint and not a viewer standpoint. And that's where all of us are at, is that we think about it like, oh man, I don't like the way that came out because of this, I don't like the way this came out because of this. But it's all like, at the end of the day, is anyone really gonna notice? Not really.
Yeah,
There's certain things, not to a certain point, yeah, of course people are gonna notice, but there's some things that we as content creators, like, we pay way too much fucking attention to. That's not that big of a deal. It doesn't affect the piece of content that we're putting out in a negative way. It's just kind of just something like that, unless you know what you're looking at, you're actually gonna notice it. And
yeah,
we're
exactly.
all at that point at some point in time. You're just super OCD about it.
Yeah, for sure. And I have a lot of anxiety issues that I now in my life I'm trying to learn to cope with because anxiety is what played a big role in me having the heart attack in the first place, and also being in a job that I absolutely despised and drinking 4 bangs a day is also what kind of did it. So that was a major contributor as well. But like it was the stress of everything and my anxiety, and I really didn't realize how anxious of a person I was until that. And now I see it even more that like wow, I've got all these mental hangups on meeting new people, being in unfamiliar situations of like trying new things for the first time. Like literally, like ordering something new off the menu at a restaurant is a very painful thing for me to do once I'm set in my ways, because it's like, well, fuck, what if I don't like it and then I already paid for it, and like I'm not gonna be that guy who asks for something else because that's just a dick move to do. Like it's just things that run through my head constantly. It's it it's awful. It's really awful, and I know there's people who've got it worse, but like my anxiety is something that I'm really trying to eventually get a handle on that way. And I think that's what's holding me back from video making now is that it's no longer about what's good enough. It's just about having the anxiety of ever being as good as I once was.
And I don't think you're at that point, because I don't think if you were to put out a piece of content today, I guarantee it's going to be way better content than you shot like a year ago. Like, I honestly believe that. I don't think that there's a, as much as you say the downfall of Carlos, like, I don't think that the reason why I say growth is because, like, every single video is going to be a little tiny minuscule better than the last. But long term wise, like, if you were to shoot a video now and compare it to like your first ever video that you put on YouTube, there's a huge fucking difference in it. And I think you discredit yourself a lot on the giving yourself such a hard time and not realizing that, like you said, is that it took you almost dying for people, like, for you to realize how much people actually cared about you. And in the same sense is that, like, your YouTube career is on the verge of dying, and realizing that you have a shitload of people that'll still watch it even if you fucking like, you know how, like, they say, like, eventually Kanye West can just put out a blank CD case and people are still gonna buy it and be like, I can hear the
Bro,
music.
not eventually. Not, he could do that now. Like that's
Yes, I know he
what
could do that now, but
Kanye West is disgusts me to no end, but that's another thing for another time that I won't
but I
even.
mean, as much as
I'll
the
probably never get into
fandom is
that.
there, you have a slight fandom of people around you that actually enjoy watching your content. Me being one of them. I love watching your videos because I know that I couldn't take the time and effort to put a WebCarlos video together. I would drive myself fucking crazy because
Really not as hard as most people think it is either.
no, but okay, like, I'm not as attentive to detail but I don't have the patience to sit down and put a story together. To you it
Oh,
comes
you
easy
don't even
because you're natural at it though. Me, I'm not natural at coming up with a story on the fly. Like your videos kind of just they just click. Like I can't do that. I would not be able to do a Web Carlos video like in your style of storytelling and the you have like you have well for one you have a pretty face. You have like a what's called a Muppet face. So you're really like naturally nice to look at and
never heard
enjoyable to look at.
heard those two things, both a pretty face being a Muppet face. I take the Muppet face thing as a compliment because I love Muppets. They're the one thing on earth that absolutely brings me more joy than anything. The two things that I love more than anything in the world are Muppets and balloons. No idea why. Those two things bring me unendless joy for no fucking reason whatsoever.
I think you should
So
work with your anxiety and just make a YouTube channel where you're just making sock puppets.
making sock puppets and inflating balloons and drawing faces on them all day. That'll be my coping mechanism for dealing with everything in this world.
And well, I mean, I don't know if this plays into it, but I've seen a lot of you posting about the I don't know what it's called, but you post it on like Facebook stories and everything of the it's like a pipe with a ball at the end.
Oh,
And
it's base flow.
explain what that is, please, because
So
that looks so soothing to watch. Like even though that there's a
it's
huge like I see the skill gap compared to like to what you're posting and the other people that you share, like there's a skill gap, but even then still like it's still soothing to watch. Like it just looks so freaking dope. Like cuz
oh yeah, and I mean
I'm
mace
huge
flow is
when it comes to people like dancing and stuff like that, and that's what it reminds me of. It's just a movement and it's so smooth and explain that to people
actually,
what that is.
actually a huge stigma in the mace flow community is that a lot of people are turned off by it because it reminds them of interpretive dance, and a lot of people are drawn to it because it's kind of like interpretive dance. But mace flow can be all of many things, and it's if anything therapeutic above all. So it is a mace, like a steel mace, like what they used back in like medieval ages and stuff. It's a mace for sure. It is a weapon, and the one I use is about 10 pounds. They make some that are 7 pounds, 25, 15 pounds. But really, all you need is a 10 pounder to get started, and you need a 10 pounder for life. That's it. Um, and so, because there are two forms of what I'm going to describe here. And so, I'm going to describe the barest form of it. And that is, it is a form of exercise that expresses movement and encourages, like encourages movement. It encourages like overall body health through movement and staying active, and like it's an all-in-one like total body workout once you understand the moves. And on the other side of things, it is an art form because the guy that I study under, his name is Matt Gonzalez from Intentional Patterns Gym. um, this man is a master of mixing the mace flow movement with martial arts and putting his own spin on it, and it's a beautiful thing to watch. And there is a connection, and this is where like some people are like, oh, okay, that's weird, but there truly is. There's a connection between the wielder and the mace themselves, no different from a samurai and his sword. Because you like my mace, for instance. Every mace has a name, and every mace reveals its name to its wielder once they've become bonded enough, and you can see it for what it really is. So my name is very basic. My mace's name is Sensei because it's taught me a lot about myself. It's taught me a lot about the art of patience and the art of movement, and it taught me to be strong in a lot of different ways other than just physically. Because mace flow, you can be the buffest dude in the room, and you put that thing in your hands and you'll be awkward as hell with it because you don't know what the heck to do. Or you can be someone like me who has never really been active in his entire life and pick it up like really quickly because it's just something you resonate with. So there's no real way to explain what mace flow is other than that it is just beautiful movement. that's I guess that's it. Just beautiful
Yeah,
movement.
it's so
I could go on forever
it's
about it, but
so soothing to watch. Like I love watching the videos that you post of yourself and then of other people because it just looks so peaceful. Like it just you can see like you can see it in people's faces like in the videos that you post. Like it's just like there's just something about it. Like I can't explain it. Like it's something you have to see yourself. Like but it's just like how you say like to be one with your mace is what it's called. Mace. I don't know what it the exact you. I don't know the pronunciation.
yeah, you got it. It's a mace,
Mace.
like a weapon, a mace.
Mace. Okay, cool. So being one with your mace, like it's just so incredible to watch what people are doing with it and the expression. Like I said, I guess it's just more because I lean towards it of it just it makes me feel like I'm watching like interpretive dance type stuff and it kind of just brings like a joy to me and just seeing people just look so fucking peaceful and like I don't know if you're looking for something that like this is just my suggestion of what I'm from what I'm watching and probably you can probably agree with me on this is that like it takes away from like if someone's looking at doing like yoga to like calm themselves down and you know
Oh,
relax.
get a
I
mace.
feel like it would be good to if they want to be active and feel that way.
No, don't waste your money on yoga. Buy a mace.
Like
Buy a mace and learn how to use it. 110% because it just it's a great stress reliever, but at the same time it demands your attention because if you lose focus for a second or you let your mind wander on something else other than wielding that mace, you're going to hit yourself. And even at slow speeds, that sucker hurts a ton. So like, and I've seen people get cocky, I've seen people lose focus. I've watched the guy that I'm learning from, Matt. I've watched him like literally drift away in thought while moving with it and just get fucking pegged in the eyebrow by the end of the mace or just like slammed in the ankle by the bulb of the mace, like it it demands your respect and attention, and as long as you give that to the mace, your movements will be fluid, and you'll get into what they call the flow state, and the flow state is something that exists not just in steel mace but in everything. It's a scientific thing. So like um, when Kobe Bryant is making all his shots for the night, and he's just on fire, that's what you consider like a state of flow. Like he's no longer thinking about the game. He's just moving and reacting and becomes a part of it. He's doing it without having to think about doing it at all. But if he were to think about like, oh shit, did I leave the stove on, or what am I gonna do tomorrow? What am I gonna eat for lunch after that? It's gone. In
yeah.
that second, it's gone because his mind is no longer one with the game. It becomes distracted by outside distractions. So, and the mace is very similar in that as well. So, if I could recommend anything to anybody, it would be buy a mace. 110% buy a
Because
mace.
you've done both. I remember seeing your videos of that you did yoga for a month, right?
Yeah, yeah, I did yoga for a month, and the mace I felt way more connected with more than anything else I've ever tried. And I haven't touched a mace in maybe a couple of months now because I got busy with some other stuff. But like, it honestly feels like for that short time that I did it, it honestly feels like there's a part of me missing now that I've stopped doing mace flow, and that there's like a part of me that I've like turned my back on because I've stopped doing mace flow because I got such a joy from it, from learning new moves. And in mace flow, you learn the basic moves, but really nothing you do is wrong. If you find a movement, that movement is correct as long as it feels natural to your body and natural for the mace to move that way. There's no wrong answer to how you can move that mace unless you're not moving it at all. So, but like not touching that mace for long periods of time, it kind of just feels like I've once again given up on something else completely because I allowed my mind to overthink things when really steel mace demands the opposite of overthinking. It just you just have to. I don't know, it's just something you have to experience for yourself. So definitely buy a mace. Look up on it the business that Joe Rogan owns on it. They sell amazing maces. If you're in San Antonio, look up intentional patterns. We have steel mace classes, and we can teach you all about it. And it's just an awesome, beautiful practice. But I could go on about that a whole nother time. But yeah, I would say that steel mace really brought me out of like a hard mental issue that I had, and it helped me cope with a lot of things, and it gave me something to like look forward to. And I'm actually certified as a level one steel mace coach. I paid for a certification, I took my test, and I passed. So like at some point, I loved doing steel mace so much that I was like, well, you know what? I'll become a level one instructor.
Yeah, and like I said, it's just that me from the outside watching it, like it was just so. It just looked so. You looked like you were at peace while you were like in that mindset, I guess. Like, and I guess that's also like because you were shooting videos at the time while you were doing that too, right?
Oh, yeah, I was like shooting videos for Instagram and stuff of me wielding the mace because it's still not a very popular thing or widely known thing, like as you know. So
Yeah,
it's
that's
just
what I
one of
said.
those
Like, I
things.
didn't even know what it was called. I just saw that you were
Yeah,
posting it, and I was like, dude, that looks dope as fuck. Like,
a
if
lot of
I
people
wasn't
had this
fucking lazy, I'd
reaction.
try that.
Yeah, a lot of people had that reaction of just like, wait, what are you doing now? Like, what is the same thing? Like, is that like a pipe? Like, what are you doing? Like, no, it's a mace, bro. It's a weapon. It's a medieval weapon that has been modernized for a beautiful art.
Yeah.
But it's a medieval weapon. I mean, we still use it to smash shit all the time, but it's just awesome, the spiritual aspect of it and the physical aspect of it.
Yeah. Well, let's go into let's wrap this up with going into your business of Infinite Media. So give us a little
Right.
taste of that.
So Infinite Media was a project pulled together by me and two other partners. Because I can't take sole credit for that. I have always wanted to start a media business, but I did not have the time nor the resources to kind of pull it together, nor the confidence. The confidence was definitely something I didn't have. But um, with the help of two friends, we created Infinite Media, and then we kind of drift away from each other. And then at some point, I just asked if I could have the whole thing to myself, and they agreed. So I am the sole owner of Infinite Media, a business that I have built based on creating videos and graphics for people who need them. Um, and I mean, that's along the lines of what I've always wanted to do. You know, I love video editing and I love shooting videos. Um, I love the idea of working with new people every day to create different forms of content. And business is not going as well as I would like it to, as every business starts off. You know, like this is literally probably not even a year since I've started this business. So, of course, I'm not expecting anything great, but there's been a lot to learn already. And there's still a lot of growth that needs to happen on my part before I can see any form of success. But it's creeping, man. It's getting there. And like I said before, like this is something I one thing I've wanted to do, but it's really not my dream to be a media director for other people for the rest of my life. Because when I create a awesome video for a client, I'm like, man, that's fucking cool. Why can't I do that for myself? You know, like I have some videos I made of like a tattoo artist that I did, and I was like, wow, this video came out
Dude,
fucking great.
those
Or like
those ones you
my
did for Jesse, right?
yeah,
For
yeah,
Jesse
the ones I did for
Robles.
Jesse.
Oh my
Yeah.
god,
And then
dude.
the video I did for my friend Belle for her she has an Instagram about smoking pot, and so we shot a video about her like lighting up her bong and stuff, and I was like, man, that video came out fucking awesome. Like why
Amazing.
can't I just
Fucking
why can't I just
amazing,
do
bro.
that shit by myself, you know? And like I don't know what it is, but like for right now, I can create videos as long as they have a purpose for other people. But when it comes to me, it's just there's just a standard that apparently cannot be met just yet. But Infinite Media is the name of the business, and it is going okay as of right now.
Yeah, and that's why I brought you on so you could push it and talk about it and promote it. Like not only promote yourself but promote your business because I know that one of the biggest things is that a lot of people are lazy when it comes to creating content. I'm one of them. But if I had a resource that I could use and be like, hey, Carlos has this business and I don't have the time to edit videos. I don't have the time to shoot my own content. Let me give Carlos a call and be like, hey, Infinite Media, can you do this for me? And be like, Carlos will be like, yeah, I got you, man. Let's set something up. So if you're a content creator and you're looking at collaborating with Carlos, I'll put his contact information down below, so that way y'all
Yeah,
can reach
definitely.
out with him,
Because
and y'all can chat.
I've
You
worked
know.
with a few people already doing a couple of gaming videos and a couple of vlogs here and there. There was a month straight that I was working on Sean's video, Sean Vlogs. I'm sorry, Hopeful Gaming was the name of his channel, and I was doing the editing and thumbnails for all his videos at that time, and I had a lot of fun with it. You know, it's nice to see what other content creators are coming out with, and I love. I will always jump on the opportunity to work on somebody's YouTube channel long before I will working on a one-time project. You know, because I love watching people build something that I wanted to build, and that's where like I always tell this story to everyone about the rise and fall of Web Carlos. Like I know you wanted to talk about the growth, but this is not new. I tell everybody about the rise and fall of Web Carlos, not because I want people to feel bad or like to see that I failed, but because I think it's important for them to learn from the things I've learned and grow from there. And as a matter of fact, the Vibe Check is a podcast that I've helped my friend Nick build, and it's live on Spotify right now. I have an episode talking all about this stuff again, coming out on the second week of I was going to say Febtober, damn it, February. So that'll be coming out soon. Definitely check out the Vibe Check podcast because I played a heavy part in helping him build that podcast, and basically he's a kid fresh out of high school. So, I basically grabbed him by the collar, slapped him around, and said, "Look, dude, if you're going to fucking do this, you need to make sure that you follow through with it because every time you give up, people lose a little bit of faith in you. So, if you're going to
Hmm.
fucking do this, you need to plan it and do it proper." And so, with the help of me and Matt and Hudson, the owners of the gym that I work at, who were like real heavy on him too about like, "Hey, this is a great idea, but make sure you have all your shit together before you start." With the help of that, he's running a very successful podcast channel now, and I can see it growing exponentially in the future with all the plans that he has. And it's nothing but casual conversation from interesting people that he deems to be interesting. So
Hmm.
that's one project that I've laid a hand in that is gonna, I believe, go further because of the things I've learned. And then my ex-manager at the car wash I fucking hated, but I loved all my coworkers. They were amazing people. My ex-manager, he's starting his channel now, and that is the Andrew and Shane show, I believe it is. I'll have to get that to you so you can put it in there if you want. But it's him and his brother basically just doing stuff that Red and Link would do. That's where you start. You find someone, you resonate, you build from there. And I'm going to be helping them build their channel as well from the ground up, so that they can have that foothold and that proper start to just go from there, because it's important that you have to have the basics and essentials down of what you're going to create in a channel before you can get anywhere. So
Hmm.
I love working with content creators. I love working with YouTubers. Definitely, if you guys have any projects that you're looking to work on, I mean, I'm not going to do it for free. I'm not saying that at all. So I just want to get that straight because I that's a lot of miscommunication between me and a lot of people. But definitely contact me. We'll talk about it. Let's work something out. Let's get you started to the place that you need to be so that you can be successful. Or even if it's not about success, that way you can at least see growth, or at the very least that you can get started. You know, let's talk. If you've got projects, just let me know.
Yeah, and I will completely stand behind Carlos 100% because I've seen his work. I love what he does, like, and you see it in the you'll see it in the quality of content that he's creating with you, and you'll see it when it comes to, if even if you're just a content creator that's looking for somebody to edit your videos. Like, you even see it in Sean's videos. There's a huge difference in the quality of content that's coming out. And like, we have this theory, so correct me if I'm wrong. So, like, this is me, Javi, Eric, Champagne. We have this theory of how you edit Sean's videos. So
Oh,
clear
okay.
this up. Clear this up for us, because like Javi came up with this his theory. So I'll tell you Javi's theory. Javi's theory is you lay out the video into post, and then you just go off of the audio spikes. of getting rid of
that's
stuff that doesn't need to be there.
that's Javi's theory.
That's the way Javi sees it. Because
What is
there's
your
no way. Well, I have kind of my theory's not the same, but I know for a fact is that in any type of video content, when you're if it's not a solid video, nobody's gonna sit there and watch through the whole entire thing and just take the parts that they like. It's just too time consuming. It's not worth the time and effort for the quality of video that you're gonna put out. My theory is more in the you do that, but you fast forward through a lot of stuff. That's my theory. But Javi thinks you just automatically edit out all the spikes, get them together, and get the compilation of video into that form right there.
I want to tell you a story. When I was in college for video game animation, basically 3D animation, um, I was absolutely fucking trash at creating game models, right? So like I couldn't shape a block into a car, I couldn't turn, a circle into a tree or like anything fantastic. Like I was with these people in this class that could create fucking amazing art from simple shapes. However, they could not animate worth crap. They did not have the patience to sit there and go bit by bit to make the movements fluid. I, however, had a ton of patience and attention to detail to how I wanted things to move. So I presented to the class um, my animation, which was a car being chased through a city by a UFO. And it sounds more significant than you're thinking of. I guarantee that because it's literally nothing but rectangles, right? Tons of rectangles for buildings. One rectangle with two spheres sticking out of it for the car, or four spheres for the car, and a UFO built of an oval and a simple circle. So like the bare basic like minimum shapes, but the animation was absolutely fluid. Like it looked fan fucking tastic. I wish I still had the files around to show you because it looked fucking amazing compared to these people's like fully built out Bugattis who were like moving sideways and like real stiffly. So I tell that story because that is my approach to video editing. Where you say that there is no way someone can sit there and sit through an entire video, and I'll be the first to attest. I fucking love Sean with all my heart and soul, but my God, that man records about 2 to 3 hours of a game session. But at least he does not. But at least he does not expect me to crush that in the 10 minutes. He records it with the sole intent that, well, Carlos will turn this into four episodes, which is fucking perfect. He does that great. He does it well. I absolutely appreciate the way he does it. But no, I sit there and I watch. I'll basically go through and I'll watch the entire thing and edit as I go. And then when I reach the 10-minute mark, I find a natural ending and edit that and then cut it off and export that and produce it. Come back the next day, watch and simultaneously edit bit by bit until I feel that the episode is done, and then cut it, produce it, go to the next day, and once again. Sometimes I'll watch the entire 1 hour straight through. I'll watch the entire hour straight through, and I'll say, okay, now let's watch it again and edit, and I'll do that again.
That's fucking wild, dude. I just couldn't see it. Like I just couldn't see sitting there through footage and just watching and editing,
it's not easy, man. And I'm not just talking about for Sean. Like it's not easy for me to watch my own footage sometimes when it's super long, or anybody's footage that I've ever edited, because you have to sit there and you have to watch them when they're not funny. You have to sit there and watch them when there's awkward silences. You have to like you are there for, this is the rawest point of the footage anyone will ever see. And I'm the only person who will see it besides the person who recorded it. So I have to make sure that what comes out is as entertaining as possible, but I also have to make sure that I didn't miss a single beat, because if I'm fast forwarding and Sean decides to like or like make a sniffle or just make a noise and I'm like, I can make that a joke, I have to make sure that I'm not fast forwarding and accidentally like glaze over something like that could be potential gold, or like a good editing moment. And then sometimes I get really lucky and the video itself has enough momentum to where hey, there doesn't even need to be any extra editing. I can just cut and print right there. And a lot of his videos toward the end started being like that, where I could get away a lot with just like one or two edits. And then he had enough momentum in the video to just let it ride, you know? So sometimes you get lucky, you just got to cut out the dead air and go from there. And then other times, you know, you gotta grit your teeth, drink a coffee, and yeah, just buckle in for a long night of watching. And again, not just Sean. Like I absolutely love Sean because I don't want him thinking like, oh, editing his videos was agony. No, I loved it. It was tons of fun. But like, no matter what video I edit, and I feel personally that that is the responsibility of an editor to sit there and do what no one else will do, watch what no one else will watch, and make art from it. You know, just
Yeah.
to have the patience that nobody else has. Because I mean, just to do a simple word graphic can take me well over 10 minutes.
Oh
Or
yeah.
I have special effects in there. I think one time where I basically built an entire award ceremony that catches on fire and an earthquake happens in one of his scenes. And like that took me well over 45 minutes to animate and create and find all the resources for and sound effects and just for a like literal 5 second clip, if not 2 second clip of this little award ceremony that will just happen and be gone for the rest of the video.
Yeah, and I don't think people appreciate how long a fucking video takes. Is that in the fact of is that like literally for y'all that are not content creators and or even if you are a content creator and you have somebody else editing your video, is that like it's like when I have somebody that comes to me and says, "Hey, I'll pay you to edit my video," and I tell them how much I'm gonna charge them for that, they freak out. Like they're all like, "You're gonna charge me for a 10-minute video? You're gonna charge me $500?" I was all like, "Yes." I go because you're gonna send me 4 hours of footage that I have to sit through, I have to edit through and go through. I'm gonna charge you $500 because that's gonna take me at least 10, 15 hours to put together, not including graphics, putting everything else I need into it. That's just going through the footage and cutting what I need. And then so I don't think people appreciate how long editors take in making videos. It's different for you because you have one solid like on the it's different for the for a video like Sean where it's just everything's the content's given to you already. You just have to put the storyline together. But if any of y'all are trying to put videos together that have all these moving parts with all this extra audio that needs to be done and all this extra editing and color grading and everything like that, a 10-minute video is going to take minimum maybe 5 hours, 6 hours of our time going into maybe 10, 12 hours because of how much work y'all want done. So when
I think there was
coming
a mistake, for the YouTube group that I had brought in a video for viewing, and y'all were like, "Oh, that was really nice. How long does that take you?" And I was like, like 10 hours, I think. And y'all were like, "What the fuck?" And I was like, "Yeah, like I
yeah,
just." But like I don't even think about it like that. Like I don't sit there thinking like, "Oh my god, I'm going on my fifth hour of editing." Like it's kind of just again, it's that flow state. For me, editing, I can enter a flow state where I'm just, you know, a mindless zombie, but I'm hitting all the shortcuts. I know exactly what I want. I know if Sean laughs, I know what that audio peak looks like, and I can zip straight to there and cut it. And like I know where I want the music and how I want the comedic timing to work. It's just my mind when it comes to editing. When I'm in the proper state, I can do awesome things, and sometimes I even fucking amaze myself with the simplest of edits. You know, I can just zone in and just fucking kill it. And if I could do everything that I do in editing, but do it outside on a beautiful day, that would just only make it all the more perfect.
yeah. Well, I think we're at a good point. Like, damn, I honestly thought this was gonna be like a 30-minute episode. I thought that you were gonna like not come up with stuff to talk about yourself, and you were gonna be
Oh no, I
super.
talk too much.
I know you love talking about yourself, and I love listening about people. So, but we're coming about that time, so we're gonna have to wrap it up because this is already going on an hour and 30 minutes already. This is
Shit,
probably the
I'm
longest episode so far. No,
sorry.
second
You
longest
asked to go
episode.
deep.
I
I tried
did.
to leave it. You asked to go deep.
I did, and I'm happy you did because it was a really good. It was really informational. It gives people a lot of insight into who you are as a content creator and who you are as in like because like I said, growth. Even though you call it the rise and fall, and that's probably what this video is gonna be called, the rise and fall of Carlos of Web Carlos. But there's still so much room for growth. Is that you haven't even you're still crawling and you were just born and now you're crawling and trying to get ready to start walking. I feel it. I can see it. I call it growth. You call it fall. But you gotta fall before you get up. So, yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up there. But before we go, Carlos, tell them where they can reach you at for anything if they want to get with you, editing, all that stuff.
You can reach me on Instagram at who else but Carlos, and that is else misspelled el. Oh no, I'm sorry, it's spelled correctly. So you can find me on Instagram at who else but Carlos. You can find the business page on Infinite Media SA on Instagram. You can catch me streaming on Twitch throughout the week on Texas T115, and you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Web Carlos, WEB Carlos.
Yeah, but that's all the time I got for y'all today. This was the Daily Marz, a talk show where we talk about whatever the fuck we want. If you want us to talk about something in particular next time, or you see somebody that you want me to talk to, let me know in the comments down below. Like the video, share the video, all that good stuff. We'll catch y'all later. All right, cool.